A new favorite has emerged to be the next head coach for the New York Knicks. We're going to break that down on today's show, as well as give you the information you need to hear as two head coaches are set to interview with the New York Knicks. We'll break that down, but first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Sounds like the Knicks are getting closer and closer to making a hire, and once they do, we're going to make a video. So subscribe, turn those notifications on, and help us get to our goal of 77.5 thousand subscribers. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Let's talk about it as a new betting favorite has emerged to be Tom Thibodeau's replacement as the head coach for the New York Knicks. We've been following this story extremely closely. We've talked about every single name that has been brought up as a potential head coach for the New York Knicks. And this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody because we've done two videos on this young man. And Taylor Jenkins is now the betting favorite to be the head coach for the New York Knicks. And this is really a drastic change in the betting odds for the New York Knicks. When this job first opened, after the Knicks relieved Tom Thibodeau of his duties, Jenkins wasn't really mentioned as one of the top names. It was actually Johnny Bryant listed as the runaway favorite to be the replacement. Not any longer. Taylor Jenkins now finds himself at plus 175 to be the next head coach for the New York Knicks. Johnny Bryant still remains in second place at plus 200. Rick Brunson being plus 250 is actually kind of crazy. Mike Malone at plus 300. You got Mike Brown at plus 350. And James Borrego, an extremely long shot, at plus 2,000. And you know what? I actually just want to apologize for not letting you guys know that Taylor Jenkins was the favorite before the betting odds, because we all should have known. He's a part of the mafia, the CAA mafia. And if you don't know, now you know. If you're rep by CAA, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be playing or coaching for the New York Knicks. I say that a little tongue-in-cheek, but I'm actually a little bit dead serious as well. Leon Rose was the head honcho of CAA before he became the head honcho for the New York Knicks. And it actually is going to result in an interview for Jenkins with the Knicks. Ian Begley of SNY, shout out to him. Go support his stuff on Twitter, on SNY. He's absolutely crushing it. As always, he wrote Taylor Jenkins will be the first head coach interview with the New York Knicks this week. And I don't want to put too much stock into being the first head coach, but I also don't want to ignore that. I think that's newsworthy. I think it's noteworthy. And we may need to start doing deeper dives into who Taylor Jenkins is as an X's and O's coach. I thought this tweet from Knicks Nation was pretty cool. Shout out to them. Go give them a follow. Taylor Jenkins makes a lot of sense for the Knicks. Willing to trust and play a deeper rotation. Developed young talent in Memphis. 50-plus wins in back-to-back seasons, and still just 40 years old. They wrote a fresh voice, modern approach. I am intrigued, and I also am intrigued. And when you look at the advanced analytics for what he did as the head coach for the Memphis Grizzlies, it's hard to ignore what he did in the 2021-2022 season, as well as the 2022 and 2023 season. They had the fifth best net rating, meaning they outscored teams per 100 possessions at the fifth best rate of anybody in the NBA. They had the fifth best offensive rating, meaning you score the most points per 100 possessions, the fifth most, the sixth best defensive rating. So he can coach offense, he can coach defense, and it wasn't just a fluke. They doubled down on that in 2022 and 2023 with the sixth best net rating, eighth offensive, and seventh best defensive rating. The last 2 years, they fell off a little bit due to injuries and having to deal with the Ja Morant stuff. So, look, I like Taylor Jenkins as a head coach. I think he makes a lot of sense for the New York Knicks, and we're going to keep our eyes on that one. A total different approach from Tom Thibodeau as well. Wants to play young guys, wants to develop young players, doesn't use the pick and roll on offense, a space and pace type of offense while maintaining that tough, gritty, and defensive mindset that we know the Memphis Grizzlies have had for a long time. I think his offensive approach would fit well with Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, but I do wish he would run a little bit more pick and roll. But he is a good coach and someone that I am a little bit higher on than other names. Coming up next, we have another interview to talk about as the New York Knicks are scheduled to interview another veteran head coach. He's been in the league for a while, and we've actually talked about him on this channel, and that's why you subscribe, because you would already know who we're talking about. But if you haven't, change it. Hit the red button, subscribe, turn your notifications on. The off season is the time to watch this channel every single day because we put out multiple videos every single day. Mike Brown, the former head coach for the Sacramento Kings, is set to interview with the New York Knicks. We broke this down a couple of days ago. James L. Edwards of The Athletic was the first person that I saw bring up Mike Brown as a candidate, so shout out to him. Go support him over on Twitter and on The Athletic. And unfortunately for Mike Brown, he is not repped by CAA, so take that for what you will. He's not a part of the Mafia, but hey, you can always join the Mafia if you want to. I tweeted this out back on June 11th saying there's a coach that is available that recently had the #1 offensive rating, maximized a two-man offensive game, has NBA finals, and I mean with multiple S's, finals experience, learned from great coaches, coached some of the best players of all time, and has strong defensive principles. That tweet was about Mike Brown, and let's go to coached under some of the best coaches in the NBA, spent multiple years with the San Antonio Spurs, won a championship there, spent multiple seasons with the Golden State Warriors, won 3 championships there. He's got 4 rings to his name, so he's been a part of some of the biggest games. He's coached under some of the best coaches, and he's coached some of the best players. Tim Duncan, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James back with the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is someone I am interested in, and the Knicks actually are interested for a second time as they interviewed Mike Brown back in the 2020 head coach search when they were trying to find their head coach, and they fell on Tom Thibodeau. We do not know where Mike Brown finished in those runnings, but clearly enough interest for them to try to run it back and have another interview scheduled. What I like about Brown is a lot of experience, but he's been a part of a coaching staff that produced the best offense in the NBA. You look at what he did with the Sacramento Kings in the 2022-2023 season, the #1 offensive rating. He maximized that De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis two-man game. They ran a lot of pick and rolls, and he enabled Sabonis to be kind of a playmaking hub. I don't necessarily think Karl-Anthony Towns possesses those skills, but I believe in Brown to craft a creative offense that has multiple levels to it that could really benefit Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson as a two-man game, but also isolation scores. What I do want to ask myself, and I ask you guys as well, is does Mike Brown get you over the top? Does Taylor Jenkins get you over the top? I don't say that to say that they can't or be disrespectful. I say it because Jenkins and Brown, they just feel like safe moves, and there's nothing wrong with safe moves. But when you fire a head coach who has back-to-back 50-win seasons, 4 playoff appearances in the last 5 years, a second-round appearance, and a conference finals appearance, you better not go safe because you already had a safe head coach in Tom Thibodeau. Leon Rose told us the Knicks are willing to do whatever it takes to win a championship. The only move to win a championship cannot just be firing Tom Thibodeau. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know if these guys are the perfect hires. I also don't know if there is a perfect hire out there. I do want to say keep an eye on Jason Kidd. I heard some stuff over the weekend. It's also been reported by other people on the internet. That door has not been shut. I know the Dallas Mavericks had said, shoe fly, don't bother me, but it's not done. It's not over, and just keep your eye on that situation. I want to ask this question before we bounce on out of here. If you had to have one of these gentlemen as the next head coach of your New York Knicks, who is it? Mike Brown, Taylor Jenkins? Let me know in the comment section. And make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram @MarshallGreen_.